Welcome back. Welcome new faces, familiar faces. Everybody, welcome to your favorite grower show. For growers, by growers. We're here to talk plants. Nothing but plants. All things plants. No, actually, we're here to just kind of fuck around and
Talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
if we get
Sometimes
the plants,
that's plants.
we get the plants. How's life, guys? What's going on?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Fucking
You look
awesome.
chillaxing in that fucking robe.
Right, dude. Anytime I'm wearing the
Fat
robe,
ass.
I feel
Fat
good.
ass robe.
It's my
Yeah, definitely
nice.
fancy.
Thank you.
Does it give you like +5 confidence?
It sure does, G3. But unfortunately, it gives me -5 memory, perhaps, because as I'm thinking about smoking a bong to start the show, I'm realizing I don't have any weed up here with me.
I was going to say,
Right now.
what do you mean
It's
you
all-
don't
it's all
have
down
any
there.
weed?
It's all down there. And unfortunately, my wife is not downstairs to
Oh, someone's taking a field trip.
fetch
See you
my
in a little bit.
requests. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I think you're gonna have to take a field trip.
I am, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to just wait a minute.
All right.
Actually,
good.
you know what?
Are
I am
ya?
going to do that right now.
All right. We'll
Can you do a little intro for me? Just like carry the shit for a little bit, all right?
We're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going to talk
Steer
about
the
what we're
ship.
smoking until you get your ass back here.
I already have it. I already have it ground up. I know exactly where it's at. BRB.
yeah. There's no way. I mean, I would leave and go get weed if I didn't have any handy. So
Right, are you
yeah,
kidding me?
I
That's
would
just-
expect nothing less. What
Can't
about you,
even
G?
imagine.
What are you
In
smoking
the
on?
no. Take a wild guess.
Mango Smile.
Clever boy. Yep.
Gee, that was a
Yep,
tough one.
yep,
You know.
Yep. Super hard.
Now-
Everything else is just not show appropriate, really.
Okay.
They're fine. They're just not as
you-
good as her.
Do you find yourself achieving the same effects each time you smoke it because you do smoke it so much?
I don't smoke it so much.
You only smoke it for the show?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. So I get the best out of her. So she's like special treat on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless I'm
Okay.
like, if I have something that, so she's, I won't say only on Tuesday nights. There's like some emergency situations where I was like, this is a Mango Smile situation. We need to handle this. So yes, in that case. But yeah, mostly she's a show night kind of girl.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have other strange for other times.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I would love to smoke her all the time, but like, I just don't have that much of her. I mean, I have an entire tent of mangoes ready to die, so
Cap,
like that'll be happy. Then I'll have a brand new show strain. So
what do you mean ready to die?
stay
Like,
tuned.
you mean die or harvest?
Yeah, chop.
All right. Well,
Ready
usually
to
you
be
don't.
murdered.
I don't think
Ready
I've
to
heard you.
sacrifice themselves for the greater cause.
I don't think I've heard you refer to harvest that way before. Are you getting
But
darker?
ready to
Are we?
die.
Are we influencing you?
Well, I mean, to be
Yeah, maybe
real,
a
what
little
you
bit.
know, you are killing the plant. I remember like back in my first couple harvests, I felt super bad about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, never.
really?
Oh,
Nope.
I do feel bad
Never
about it
felt
every
any
single
sort of
time.
way about
Oh my
chopping.
god. Every
Never.
single
I didn't even have a second
time.
thought about it. Chop them bitches right
Yeah,
down.
I remember like
Psychopath.
I don't know. You get like attached to this life form. You know? It's like
Yes. My
this
girls have
beautiful
names.
thing.
I
Yeah,
often
yeah.
stand back and,
Personalities.
and admire their beauty before I chop them down. Does that count?
That's some like really sadistic shit, man.
Okay.
Tell them how
I
pretty
guess I
they
never
are
thought of it that way.
before you kill them.
Hey, baby. Hey,
Yeah.
baby, you looking mighty fine.
You're so beautiful. You're
No,
ready to
I,
die.
you know, it's so. It was like the first couple times. You know what I mean? Like beginner nerves, I guess. Just like
Okay.
not something you're used to. Like I'm not a killer. You know what I mean? I'm a lover. not a killer. And then you have to do the deed, and you're like, oh, you know what? But
Yeah,
like
but
ultimately, the plant has fulfilled its mission. Its
exactly.
its purpose in life is
Yep.
to end up a smokable product in your jar,
Not as
and
far as
that's
that plant is concerned, but that's another story.
well, true,
Well, you keep it
true.
from its ultimate purpose, right? So its
Mhm.
secondary purpose.
That's right.
Your indicator
You
is when THC is turning to CBN, they go amber.
you
So
work
they're
for
already
me
starting to
now.
degrade. Yep.
Now that I'm thinking
That's
about it,
the end.
we just like we basically just like prevent them from fulfilling their life's purpose their whole lives, and then
Yeah,
we
and they don't even
Yeah,
know any
that's why
better until
some
the
of
bitter
them
end.
freak out and harm.
They don't
that's
know
why
any
yeah, yeah,
better
yeah.
till
We
the
must
bitter end.
continue the species.
That's why you do get those random seeds sometimes, you know. I mean, it's in a tent full of
Life
ladies, life will
finds a
find a
way.
way.
So, Cap, what are you smoking on?
Oh, well, now that I retrieved it, and thank you for
That
bearing
wasn't
with
that.
me.
That was dude. That was like a 13-second trip.
It was fast. You
Yeah,
ran.
yeah,
I didn't
literally, I
time it, but
ran.
I'm just
I
that was a
ran.
guess.
I am doing my headband
I just spilled
crossed
weed
with
all over
sour
myself.
diesel tonight.
Nice.
Mixing a
Got
salad, huh?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, this headband sour diesel from Katsu is killer. I had three phenos, and they're all kind of similar. They have a like structure wise, it's nothing to write home about. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like deceptively, deceptively so. You know, like I'll look at it and just like, it's kind of fluffy looking. It doesn't have like the most amount of crystal coverage of all my bud. You know, it smells really nice in the jar. It's when you grind it up that the stuff shines, and it like
I love that
it
pot.
it yeah, it just like releases its true aromas, and then like yeah, as you smoke it, it retains all of that, and like it really comes through on the exhale. So yeah, and I get a lot of really like lemony, bright lemony, but like also diesel. It is like it is what it says it is, you know.
Mm.
Headband also is half sour diesel and half OG Kush, I believe, is the lineage on Headband. So this thing's like 3 parts sour diesel, 1 part OG Kush.
So
It's
shout
the
out
way I
to
look at it.
you enjoy my dank, uh, Massachusetts resident, fellow podcast listener. He sent me out a couple of cuts. He sent me out one called the Forest, which is East Coast sour diesel crossed
Oh
with
yeah,
New York City sour diesel.
dude, I saw that on whose page did I see it on? Like Mass Made.
Yeah, well, Mass Made has had the cut. This is his cut apparently.
All right, word.
So um, I'm really excited to try that. I'm guessing it. I haven't done a lot of research, but I'm guessing it's got to be at least a 10 weeker. All that diesel.
Oh yeah, man. Anything. Excuse me. One more. Anything with that diesel lineage is going to take a little bit longer.
Yep.
And I think that's why it's not a commercially viable
Hmm.
kind of strain. Just
No,
Sativas
nobody
in
really ever
general,
grows it, and
it's
yeah,
it
hard to keep
doesn't.
sativa.
Go ahead, G3.
I was just gonna say that all sativas in general are
Yeah.
compared to indicas or indica leaning strains, and they take a longer time. So in the long
It,
run, it doesn't pay to grow them.
no, and it's kind of a lose because it doesn't have great bag appeal generally, um,
yeah,
and the THC numbers aren't the highest. Um, so it's just you just gotta really love gas and diesel and get that those terps and that effect from it. Like I don't care what the THC number says, that shit gets you lit. You know, fucking.
yeah. So
It's hard to sell like low THC weed though. Like it's usually low,
Hmm.
like below 20, or very low 20 from what I've seen. So
People in the dispensaries these days, they're looking for like above 30.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
nothing but, but like I bet you that this stuff is more, it's probably a 20 percenter, 18 percenter. I bet you it's high on the terps, maybe like 3 or 4% terpenes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bet you that there's some obscure cannabinoids in it too, like THCV, THCA, THCQ. You know about that one?
Negative.
Mm.
Makes you really quiet. I heard, just like a monk. You don't talk for a few days.
Interesting.
No, I'm just making that up.
Okay.
But there's
I'm high enough to believe it.
THCV is super interesting, though. I'm very interested in THCV.
Supposedly an appetite suppressant.
Appetite
correct.
suppressant, and it's like super high focus. They're trying to isolate it in a way to use it as like a
ADHD
natural
medication.
ADHD medication.
Makes sense. So
Yeah, isn't that super weird? Like, yeah, most you always think about weed giving you the munchies, but there is this cannabinoid that exists mostly in sativas, and I
Mm-hmm.
do think, if I'm not mistaken, like Durban poison has
yep.
the most amount of it that they found in like any land race, and they've done breeding projects to
That shit's
increase
not for
the
the faint
amount.
of heart either, man. It's appropriately named, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Durban poison.
it is. That's a crazy weed, man. Like it gets you racy and it gets you
I can't
yeah,
smoke too much of it.
it gets you racy.
It's a lot of power. You got to be able to harness it correctly.
It's those intrusive thoughts, man. That's a funny. That now that I'm thinking about it, the lineage on cookies, right?
Yeah.
Originally, the Girl Scout cookies was OG Kush and Durban poison.
Intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts bred into all of your cookies weed.
Here's what I think. Okay. With a lot of those strains that are super high to sativas, you got really high THCVs, you got really high levels of terpinolene. That gives you a lot of like get up and go doing stuff. That energy has to go somewhere. If you're not moving and doing something with that, it's going to go into your head and you're just going to sit there churning in your own skull. So like if you have a high sativa, use the sativa properly. Get your ass outside and do
Truth.
something. Get your ass up and do something in your house. Don't just sit there and be unsupervised in your own brain. Not a good idea.
Like I had a neighbor that had a meth addiction at one point, and we'd catch
Oh
him
my
out in the
goodness.
backyard at like 3 a.m. just digging holes. You know what I mean?
Gotta burn off the energy.
Yeah, be climbing trees and digging holes. And it was like the
Right.
weirdest shit ever. But
Like,
you
man,
got
you can't
got to
do
keep
that.
busy.
You gotta call
Right.
Dig Safe first.
You don't give a toddler like a lollipop and then expect them to sit there and do nothing. Like they're gonna start bouncing off the walls. Be prepared.
Yeah, you got to have something to do. When the intrusive thoughts pop in at 3 a.m. and you're all wound up, you got to have a release.
Jesus Christ, you shouldn't be smoking a Durban poison at 3 a.m.
No, not unless
Because
you're
The
you're
trying to
truth.
stay.
first
And
and
that's
problem.
why
Not unless you're
variety,
trying to stay up.
variety, the spice of life.
Use the correct strain at the correct time of day, please, people.
So,
Amen to
anybody
that.
want to
You will
anybody
thank
want to
yourself.
guess what I'm smoking on?
Cherry smash.
No. Eh,
Anaphylaxis.
eh,
Mm.
Lemon carver.
Lemon cava.
Cava.
eh. Prego.
What
Prayer
you got?
go.
Oh, all right. That's that prayer. I forget what it's called from Mass
Prayer.
Medical. But
So it's Prayer Tower Sativa by Bodhi and Gorilla Glue Floor cut bred together.
cool,
It's definitely
cool.
the best of both worlds, in my opinion. But it definitely leans more on the sativa side, and it is currently fucking me up right now.
Or if we find you digging holes, we'll know what happened.
Yeah,
We'll
I ate a
try to
couple.
keep you with us.
I take the live resin and put it into capsules. Eat those as edibles. How many milligrams? Couldn't tell you. I ate a couple of those too, and I feel pretty good.
Enough.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I had a gummy before the show. It's my, been living off those things, surviving on water and can of gummies.
I mean, gosh, you've got jars of them just sitting around you. How could you not?
It's one of
It's
the
like living in the Wonka's chocolate
yeah, it's like
factory.
one of my food groups at this point.
I
I
haven't
hate
made
to admit that.
gummies. I haven't made gummies in a long time, but they're dangerous, man. Because I love
They're
gummies. You know what I
they're
mean?
too easy to
So like,
eat.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not good. Like I have to keep my edibles in like I said, the capsule form, or if I do keep like just THC like edibles, it's usually like chocolate because I'm not a huge chocolate guy, so I can just eat a couple pieces and leave it. But gummies, dude, like once you crack that bag, forget about it. Like it's gone.
No, 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 no. Decoy bag. You have to have a decoy bag.
Yeah.
Secondary bag with no THC in it. You know, get yourself a decent Haribo variety, and then you have all the gummies you want,
There you
and you're
go.
not
Just
gonna fuck up your entire day.
house a whole pound bag of twin snakes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, have you guys ever heard of liquid karma? It's
No.
this drink
Mm-mm.
edible. It's 1,000 milligrams. It's in like the size of like a 5 hour
A
energy, right?
thousand
Yes,
milli.
but
A
Oh
listen,
hell yeah,
thousand. A
but
liquid
listen.
karma.
thousand milligrams.
Here's the kicker. Here's the
It's
kicker with
a
this shit.
funny
Okay,
name.
it. I didn't believe it at first until I tried it, but it supposedly has like this nanotechnology that's able to hit you quicker. So a normal edible is going to take a while, right? Within like 10 to 15 minutes, this shit
20
hits you.
minutes usually with
Yeah,
nanoemulsification. Yeah.
unfucking real, right? So I'm not gonna call him out because he might be listening and he's a friend of mine, but um, he drank the whole bottle and passed out within like half an hour. He was out for like 8 or 9 hours because he didn't
No.
realize it was a
Oh,
thousand milligrams. Yeah, the whole bottle.
that's dude. That's a lot of edibles right there. I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
If I had,
I couldn't handle it. No fucking way.
That's no longer an edible. That's tincture at that point. It feels
oh,
like, or
that's
something. That's
no,
like,
it's
oh
aptly
my
named. It's liquid
gosh,
karma. Like if you're,
1,000 milligrams.
that'll give you
Mhm.
intrusive thoughts.
Yeah,
That will give
you.
you no thoughts. Your
I've
brain
had
will turn off.
no, seriously, people don't believe me. And if
Green
you
out.
don't believe me, just keep eating more. If you eat enough edibles or have enough RSO, you will like have hallucinations and weird thoughts.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, dude. I
100%, dude.
mean, cannabis is like classified as a psychedelic, if I'm not mistaken, like
Hallucinogenic, yeah.
as a
Wow, it's also
hallucinogenic ethnogen. Like it's a fucking
classified as a lot of things that make no sense. So,
This is
dude.
true.
It will make you trip. I've 100%. Like and they've all been sativa dominant varieties. I remember a trip I took out to Colorado and we like picked up some AK-47 at the dispensary, and it just took over me like a mushroom trip almost. And I like the colors were like extremely vivid. Just sensory overload, like walking around the forest. It was like a whole different experience. You know what I mean?
I've never achieved that effect smoking, only eating it, personally.
Maybe it's yeah, probably easier to achieve through edible, just because you can like maximum dose.
Yeah. I can
Like
tell you it wasn't fun. Like a mushroom trip or an acid trip, that's fun. This trip, like when you eat enough edibles and you're like having mild hallucinations and you like
it's not that fun.
no, it's not fun at all, man. It doesn't feel good. At least I don't like it. And I love weed, man. But it's that when it gets to that
well,
point, it's. I
yeah.
remember like a couple years ago, somebody gave me RSO and it was thick, and I fucking had a hard time getting it out. So he's like, "Oh, just heat it up a little bit, like with warm water, and then squirt it." So I did, and I squirted like half the syringe in my mouth. He's like, "Dude, strap up, buddy. You're in for a long fucking ride." And
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I was,
Yeah, that's like a good couple 100 milligrams. Decent.
yeah, I was
Jeez.
of
Three,
our so,
300,
and I was
400. Yeah.
wrecked for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
But even the next day, like I think for days I was still just like fucked up, like groggy, you know.
Well, it's
But I
like
was
Yeah.
sick, so hey, I'll tell you this much: I he gave it to me because I couldn't sleep because I kept coughing. He's like, dude, this will knock your cough out, and I didn't believe him, but dude,
It fucking did. No wonder, because you were like dead to the world.
but
dude,
I here's the kicker. On top of it, I couldn't. I had a hard time falling asleep, even like after the cough went away, because every time I closed my eyes, that's when I would have like the mild hallucinations, and I was all fucked up. Like I was like, I just want this to go away. I just want to go to bed. Like now I can understand why people who have never done it, like they call 911 because they think they're
yeah,
dying.
yeah. Like I'm freaking out.
That
It's
shit's
not
off.
My
fun.
heart's
If you,
going way too
dude,
fast.
Well, the
if you've
difference
never,
between having too much THC and tripping on acid or mushrooms is that tripping on acid and mushrooms is intentional. And
true,
being near greening out is unintentional. Very
greening
much
out, I've never
unintentional.
heard of that. But yeah,
Greening out. Yeah, it's a
if
good
you want to
term.
get some laughs, just look up like 911 edible calls. That's like
Oh my god.
unreal.
I can't even imagine, dude.
Dude, it's funny. We had a couple of instances here in Boston where like kids were passing out edibles in schools, like, and dude, it was like the biggest thing. Like these parents are like, this could kill my child, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, if somebody's lacing this shit with fentanyl, but that's unlikely. They're just
Right.
like
No,
weed
it's
edibles, like
just a
little
little
Johnny or little Mary is
edible
gonna
karma.
be a little fucked up for a while, Probably go to sleep, maybe you might like it, All right,
They did some
listen,
study to
Evan
find
talked
out
back to me
how
today.
much you'd have to take to like overdose. And
A
they
shit
it's
ton.
something like you'd have to eat 1,500 pounds in 15 minutes.
What? So
And
is
even
that? I wonder if that's like flour G3, or is that like a concentrated,
I wonder what the
edible
THC
type?
milligram
Yeah,
equivalent of
yeah.
1,500 pounds is.
That's what I'm
It's
wondering, like
interesting.
THC
Ooh, I'm gonna
equivalency
find
wise,
that out.
because here's the thing, like you were saying, Monster, like it's got to be easier just to achieve that, like that liquid karma, like I'm gonna go talk to God right now kind of dose, that we usually associate with mushrooms, but you can get there with enough weed. Yeah, like
I
it's
don't know if you could
way
do it
and
with
way
flour.
easier if you
Like
just
if you couldn't smoke it there, I
drink a
think it
like
would.
a heavily concentrated, like that's got to be the only realistic way to achieve that dose, because I don't know anyone who could smoke enough
Yeah,
flour
but you would probably
or
throw up
enough dabs
before you achieved that
to get there.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's just not big enough to hold that kind of content. I don't think it's possible.
Right.
I'm gonna say that.
So weed's not
Don't
gonna
think it's
kill you.
possible. No,
Never has, never will.
never been one, weed related death with some moron
No,
doing something
no,
stupid while he was high.
no. Yeah, well, dude, wasn't there like that girl that like killed her boyfriend or something recently, and she was like super high, and
She
the
said it was the weed he
judge,
gave her.
yeah, and the judge let her off because like weed's super dangerous, and it made her like
Where
psychotic
was
for a
this?
moment.
Fucking Texas?
Where'd she get her fucking weed from?
I
From her
forget
boyfriend.
where that was, man. I like
She,
it's like it's a current event news article, and it's been one of
not gonna
those
lie,
like
I can guarantee you there were people like, man, I wish I could get a hold of whatever she was smoking.
those intrusive thoughts, man.
They say that like heroin addicts, when people like when their
Kill your
friends
boyfriend.
drop dead from like dose and shit, they're like, oh man, I want to get some of that. Like I'm serious. That's
Oh,
a thing.
absolutely, dude. Like
Yeah,
that's how
like,
junkies think for
dude,
sure.
it killed Billy. I gotta get me
Oh,
some
there's
of
a
that shit, bro.
really strong batch going around right
Fucking
now.
sick fucks.
I don't know the mind of a junkie, man. I have to imagine like the closer that they get to death, the bigger a thrill it
Mm,
actually is.
baby,
But fuck, man,
I'll
let's
just stick with my weed. Thanks.
stick with my weed. Exactly, exactly. But yeah, let's. So what I wanted to get into tonight, man. I got some plants that are ready to come down.
Okay.
So, I wanted to kind of discuss some of the things I've been doing over the last 2, 3 weeks as my plants like mature. They are mature now, right? They've reached their final form. Buds are already like buds are forming. They have formed.
Okay.
They're bulking up now. I guess this is the phase we would call it, right? From
What's the
bulking
giant
up
one in the
to
corner?
finish.
What's the big one?
The big one on the left, that's the cosmic revival. A big colorful girl.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Those
Thank you.
leaves are
Thank you very
something.
much.
You gonna pull her up for us
If I can,
so we
yeah. Let
can
me
see
see if
her?
I can real quick.
She's really so pretty
What a slut.
and tall, very
Very
tall.
tall. Yeah, one of my better grows recently, I will say. So thank you. Where the hell is
What in the hell?
where the hell did it go? All right, there it is. There it is. Okay. So yeah, they're on like day 74 right now.
Ooh, early. They're gonna come
Yeah,
around here like at least.
absolutely early. I did not expect them to be so early. Here they are. Okay, let's get rid of
Twin face,
this real
purple.
quick. So yeah, those are my plants, my 3x3 right now, ready to come down.
Tall, so tall.
Yeah, the one on the left is the Cosmic Revival. That's like 4'5", 4'6", almost at the lights, almost at the
Great
top of their
colors on
little
that.
3x3. Oh yeah, dude, up close. Do I have the other picture here? I took some really nice ones. Here you go. Check that out.
Oof.
Sweet.
Oh my goodness, she
Yeah, it
looks like
faded
candy.
beautifully. You know what I mean? So, like, I have a feeling that, like, getting this type of color, this type of, situation going on at the end of my grow, like, has a little bit to do with the things that I do with my environment, like, as we progress through my plant's life cycle. You know, number one on that list is adjusting our VPD to a different, like, you still want to be in that middle range if you know your VPD chart. You know what I mean? I can bring that up right now. But like you want to lower your temperatures and also lower your humidity as you get to the end of the plant's life. I do that primarily by lowering my lights during the daytime. Like, I back off if I'm maybe, let's say my lights are at 100% during weeks like 6 through 9. Then weeks like 10, 11, maybe 12, I'll turn those suckers down like, 25% each week. So by the end of my grows, my lights are on like 50% or less a lot of
Hmm.
times.
Okay.
You guys do that at all?
No.
You
I
don't back
don't,
your
but
lights off at all?
I can understand why you do. It's definitely a big signal to the plant.
Here, I'll bring up
I wonder
bring
if
this
you
up
do you
real
think you
quick.
sacrifice any final weight
Oh, I'm sure I do. I'm
because
sure I
of
do.
that?
I'm not growing for biomass though. Like, that's never
Right.
been my objective whatsoever. Like, my goal is to get the best, like, expression from the plant, whether that be like terpene production, like color at the
Oh, of
end of the
course.
grow,
I'm a huge proponent of the
resin.
in-grow joy.
Well, if they
I was just
fade a little
wondering
bit
if there
anyway, if they
was.
start getting depleted, I mean, I can achieve that result, and I usually do when the you just cut them off for food. The last 4 or 5 days, just water or whatever. They'll start fading pretty hard. And then even without it, sometimes I've had some shit. Even if you feed it to the end, they're just telling you they're done. They're just an S.
That's a great topic I want to get into, like flushing does that have to do with fading? All that stuff. But real quick, let's take a look at the differences between like the flower VPD chart and the veg VPD chart. Like if you notice the line just kind of changes a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and the green, like the middle area where you want to be, becomes a little bit wider at that like 72, kind of like 72 to 77 range, let's say. So I don't know, it's interesting. Like your plants can perhaps transpire a little bit better in flower if your temps are lower. However, you got to achieve that.
Did I say
Monster.
72 is there in the green?
No, no,
Is that
no,
what you
no.
said?
So like my goal for like early flower is still like in the 80s. We're talking LED tents. You know what I mean? I'm talking at the very end, maybe a week left, 2 weeks left. That's when I start thinking a little bit about temperature. But you are right, Monster. This is like kind of a sidetrack. The real thing that brings out the color and the expression in the plants, in my opinion, is cutting off the nutrients. You know, we want to stop all feeding, in my opinion, at week, you know, we're talking autos week 10. So 2 weeks with just nothing but water.
Yeah, I don't go that extreme personally, and I'm feeding with salts. Maybe in soil because
Yes, yeah,
there's
soil, you
something
gotta.
left over, and like I I think flushing people still kind of misunderstand it, like what you're really trying to achieve. Like Rasta Jeff has a great analogy. He's like, listen, if you eat a fucking Snickers bar and you consume that and swallow it, you can't just like drink a bunch of water and then get rid of the Snickers bar. It's still like in you, like you're flushing the medium, which then starves the plant, and then the plant is going to try to consume any reserves that it might have. But like, make no mistake about it. Like I've flushed, I've not flushed. I don't see any really major difference in the smoke. Um, I think people go a little ham by like not feeding for like if you're growing in cocoa with salts, like 2 weeks is extreme. A week, that's cool. I usually only like go like 4 or 5 days because I'm trying to push it as hard as I can to the end, and then that's
Word.
it. Yeah.
But so like you wouldn't do a flush in like the traditional sense of the word, where like you run extra water through your medium
The only
to
time
try
I
to like
ever do that
flush
is if
out
I
the
have a problem.
leftover.
No, if
Okay,
I have an issue, I will do a flush from the top, and like you have to like really really flush and make sure you're getting everything out, and that's only if there's an issue.
word. And
Yeah.
that's a cocoa grower, guys, a cocoa and salts grower, who's he don't flush.
No, I'll stop feeding and I'll give them, just pH water the last couple
But like,
days.
so you would reserve a flush for like, let's say, the rare case, if it ever actually happened, you like fucked up the pH or something of a feeding, or
Yep.
you gave them like way too much of something when you meant to give them something else, and
Or even sometimes you don't even know where you went wrong. Sometimes you just maybe have like a fussy plant or something like that.
mm-hmm.
Um, and anytime I see an issue like that, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna flush it because it can't hurt. Legit can't hurt to like clean out the
Word.
medium, and when I say flush, I'm not flushing with just water. I'm flushing with the nutrient solution I want it to have. So like you run through a shitload of that until you see a heavy amount of runoff, and then you just put it back in its base. Now, pro tip: if you're not a pot grower, turn off your reservoir before you take the pot out, because if you try to put it back in, it'll have more water, and you'll kind of make
Yeah,
spill water on your
it's
tank.
displacement.
And never water from the top if you're growing with salts using autopots. I have to repeat that because some people don't know. And if you decide to do a flush from the top, like I'm talking about, like I said, do a fucking flush.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're really getting a lot of that, a lot of runoff to get all the residual salts flushed out.
Oh my gosh,
Start from
that's it's
scratch.
so much like to flush a pot, especially if you have like a
It's a lot of water.
5 gallon pot with
Yeah.
residue salt on top. I mean, that's like gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of water. So much
Should
water.
be. Mm-hmm. If you do
I'm
it
glad
right.
some I'm glad he said this. I can't Jeffy. He's one of our I believe he's one of our Patreon supporters
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Science has shown yet again that flushing is bro science unless you way overfeed them. 100% facts. 100% facts.
Overfed or like I guess along with that is like a lockout situation,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah. And
if
that can happen. Like, look, I fuck around and find out. We were talking about on the last episode with drybacks. Sometimes you don't play your cards right. I've
mm-hmm.
I've had to do a flush because I ran into an issue where like I said, I fucked around and found out. So um,
It's
it can
always like,
happen.
it's you got that card to pull if you have an issue. But like as far as end of grow practices, like yeah, that's not something
No,
I'm worried about. Like
and
I don't think that affects like that's not going to affect smoke quality whatsoever.
no,
In
it's
my
all in the
I don't
dry and
think.
the cure. All in the dry and the cure. And the other thing too is the reason why I stopped feeding the last couple of days because, in my opinion, the plant's not utilizing much of that at that point anyway. It's just finishing up, and whatever is left in the medium and the plant can get it through those 3 to 4 days, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, especially if you are an organics grower, there's already plenty of like there should be stuff all like I've found as an organic grower, like the plant sometimes will fade just because it knows that it's like the end of its life. There's probably plenty of nutrients still in my medium a lot of times, like I'm not doing any flushing. I'm not like I'm still like actively feeding up until like sometimes week 10. And then
Yeah,
I'll
and,
just like
and can't
they're fading
Yeah.
before that. Like it's
in certain
weird
situations with
sometimes.
soil
Well,
too, if you do like a heavy flush, you're actually just releasing a ton of nutrients into the plant.
That's why an organic grower should never flush their medium, and that's why an organic grower should actually not even be running till or watering until runoff. You know what I mean? Like we want to keep all that stuff in there, all those organic compounds and minerals. Like if that flushes out, like those are your time release nutrients. You know what I mean? Like they're already maybe 50% of the way to being
yeah.
released. So I don't know. Keep them
Well, if
in
you think
there.
about it, at the end of your plant's life cycle, it stops uptaking water, right? It's one of the signs that your plant is close to the end of its life.
Ding
In the
ding. Yep.
last couple weeks, it really starts to slow down.
I'm glad you mentioned
Well,
that because I
it's
actually use that as a one of my signs of
One
how I'm
of
being.
the best metrics to tell
Yep.
right.
your
So it's
plant's ready.
uptaking less water, so it's uptaking less nutrients. But the processes inside the plant are still going on, even though it's uptaking less. So where is it going to get the nutrients it needs from if it's taking less from the soil? From
That's a great
itself,
theory.
from its
Yeah. So if
leaves.
it's not like transpiring as much or uptaking the water and releasing it through the leaves in this uptake of nutrients, it then
Right.
has to kind of suck it from
Has to
itself.
take it
Yeah.
from itself, which causes senescence.
Ah, you're so smart.
There's a drop near it grows.
Those things are definitely linked. They have to be, just like natural processes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny how, like, really, the plant, like, knows a lot of times when it's ready.
Yep.
You'll
Temperatures
notice,
get
yeah,
cold, stop
stops
taking up
drinking,
water, takes what it needs from its leaves, the leaves die off, the leaves drop because
leaves
it's
die
fall.
off, leaves drop, it's fall. Think about all the things
Time
that,
for the
like, that happen in the
harvest.
fall. Think about
Yeah.
all the things that, like, occur as the season develops and we get further into that month of October. pretty
It's my
much, right?
favorite time of the year,
Yep. So
personally.
yes, you're totally right with the light intensity getting less
Yeah,
over
turn your
time. Light
light
intensity gets
down. Like the
less.
sun gets less intense in during the end of the season, right? It's
Right.
less further up in the sky. Okay, it's your humidity goes down because it gets colder at night. All that sort of stuff.
Yep. You could
You know
lengthen your dark period.
that absolutely G3. Like give it 13, 14 hours of dark for the last 2 weeks if you're growing photos, of course.
I go the exact opposite mindset.
You
He
give them
wants to like
more.
bust it up.
See,
Give
like,
it
Yeah.
but I
everything you
think,
got.
Monster, I think like that's a mindset of like, no, listen, don't get me wrong. I, is that a mindset that like you're trying to get more biomass, or like
Yeah,
what's your
I want,
objective from that?
like at the end of the day, I mean, even if it's just like my personal grow, I want as much flower as I can get out of it. Like that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
you
I
know,
would consider doing it for the last week, I think. Maybe not the last 2 weeks, because
sure,
an autoflower's life is very short.
look,
But the last
somebody should do
week,
the
sure
tests,
thing.
you got to really do it right, right? Like you have two small, like let's say 2 by 2 areas with a 150-watt light in each, same cut, same autopot reservoir or whatever, same feeding schedule. You know what I mean? And watch them grow, and then change the light cycle on one and change the one on the other, and see. I
Yeah.
Could be fun.
I don't even mess with light cycle itself. I'm just like turning back the intensity of it, like
yeah,
because I don't know, just when you think
I
about like yeah, the
I've been
sun in
messing around a little
October
bit with
less strong.
13-hour light cycles. Trying to
At
get
the
as much.
last week, yeah,
No,
pushing a
like
couple,
the whole time.
13 hours.
just sneak in an extra hour of
Yep,
photosynthesis.
yep.
I mean, technically, anything under 14 is
Hmm.
supposed to be
It's interesting. I mean,
okay.
there's different mindsets. Like I grow for myself. Like I grow for my wife to make delicious gummies with, and like to smoke like a head stash of
You have been
just
on a gummy kick lately, that's for sure.
exotic weed. And I just everything I do is from the mindset of like best expression, highest terpene content, like all that stuff. Like within my that's within reason, like within my ability to control. And I've never once like thought about something of like, well, I could just eke out like another like extra couple extra grams out of these lowers here if I do this, or I don't know.
You
It's
see, I've never really noticed any degradation in giving more light at the end of a plant's life cycle. I've only noticed benefits in getting more harvest weight. So, like at the end of the day, I want to smoke good weed, and if I thought that it was fucking me up in that way, I wouldn't do it.
so it
Like at the end of the day, you want the best smoke possible. And who's to even
amen.
fucking say if what I do or what you do have any effect at all? We could just be,
Yeah,
we think
it
we're
could just
fucking
be
God. you
spin
know.
like yeah, rats like running in a wheel.
Yeah, like the science really has to be done. Somebody has to do a side by side with the different variables. Real scientific study. I've seen some people come close with certain things, but there's always like something that doesn't make it scientific. Like, oh, it's this one is, they're not getting like the same amount of light. Like one, they're under a light, but not the same position or whatever. Like, like, I, look, I'd love to. I could be honest with you, I don't have the fucking time or the space to really set up something like that. But I'd love to see it,
Me
and
too.
it'd be fucking wild.
Me too. So, all right, here's a question for you. And just like in a bud that has more biomass,
Hmm.
would you anticipate that the level of terpenes in each the terpene percentage would have to go down, correct? If you're like expanding the bud at a certain point, like the terps just can't keep up. It's going to be diluted. You know what I mean? If you have like an overly swollen bud.
Not
Does that
necessarily,
make any
because I mean,
sense?
like, I guess in some ways, but like in a lot of that's genetics based, and obviously how you grow too, like your skill as a grower,
Mm-hmm.
being able to bring out terpene expressions. I don't know, I don't think I've ever really thought of it like that.
I
I've
actually have
noticed that
to
like
kind of
certain strains
agree.
that like
I've just
certain,
always found that like G3 said it on a I'm sorry to cut you. Like G3
yeah,
said it on a show not long ago that sometimes my favorite buds in the whole jar are the small ones. You know what I mean? Like
I
that's
have
not
noticed
just
this much, like certain
they
strains that like,
taste better a lot of times. They just have less biomass and more terpene like packed
Well,
in each bit of
think
it.
of it. How do the terpenes ripen? Okay. A lot of that is exposure to light and time. If you have a giant bud, there's only so much surface area there. A lot of that biomass is on the inside, and so all of the terpenes that are covering the buds on the inside that are not exposed to the light will not be as ripe and probably won't have the same THC percentage.
possibly.
True. Very
I've
true. Or
noticed it's strain dependent. Like you have certain strains that will really push the envelope with like, grams per watt, and they may not necessarily be the best smoke. Like sometimes you get those ones that with like the nice, chunky buds, maybe some golf ball structure, and you know what you're getting with that, like an OG base, something that's gonna like really like hit you good. So I don't know. I would say it's kind of strain dependent.
yeah,
Like
it is.
the prayer glue pushes really big, huge fucking nugs, and that's super turby. Lemon
Super
Carver is
turpy.
more of like a medium base. It's not the biggest yielder, but it yields pretty well. It
You
stays
know,
on the shorter side, so it's more indica dominant. But like it
definitely
kind of,
genetics based.
yeah, it really is genetics based. I think. And two, if you push, I've seen some kind of like, you see people with, they're pushing like PGRs and shit like that to make their buds bigger and denser, and that shit will 100% degrade your THC. Just look into it. Look into the ingredient that's in those bud hardeners, and then look at it'll 100% ruin your fucking terps. Please don't use that shit.
That's like past the point of
Yeah.
diminishing returns. You
If you
know,
want a natural PGR that won't fuck your terps up, use kelp.
kelp.
And
Yeah,
there's there's
100%.
there's other shit out there too, but kelp's just like PGRs aren't bad. Synthetic, like certain PGRs are terrible, and they're bad, for
Well,
your plants.
it's kind of an interesting topic. Um, the whole thing. There is a lot of bro science surrounding all of it. Like again, like this stuff hasn't been studied officially. You know, we do have to at a certain point rely on what we've heard from our buddies and our buddies' buddies and all the lore that's been passed down from all the eons of cannabis growers. It's
Logic and research and basic biology and
Just try to be the best grower
botany
you can
and
be, and follow your style. Don't change what
yeah,
works for you too. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, they're like, "Oh man, thanks for that sandwich bag tech. It worked really well for me. I was able to get clones going." I'm like, "That's fucking awesome." It's not my preferred method. Like I still love the humidity dome with the autopot setup, right? But like if you're struggling to clone, the sandwich bag method will work for you if you do it right, and it's almost foolproof. So I'm glad that it helps, some people get some shit going, because cloning's hard for a lot of people.
yeah.
They struggle with it.
Amen. You know what I genuinely believe is that your plants like respond to your vibes and your like
1,000,000,000%
your
yes.
intent to a certain extent as well. And yeah, it's just like I don't quite know where I was going to go with that. But just know that like your plants know what your intentions are.
Yeah.
Better have good ones.
I think there's a lot of truth behind that. Um, you know, there's been some studies on that as well. I believe so. Look,
Yeah.
if yeah, look, if you're just trying to like grow and you don't really care about what you're doing and you're just willy nilly in it, like, and you're treating the plant like shit, and you're kind of a dick, I think it's going to pick up on that shit.
Well, the best. It's just like the best plants are grown with love.
You
It's as
get out what
simple
you
as
put
that.
in. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Think of
You.
it this way: if your plants are in solitary confinement, you are literally the only other living creature it ever interacts with. If you don't think that your plants are vibing with you, you are wrong.
That's the
Flat
truth.
out. It has to. You have an intrinsic vibration inside your plants. You're literally feeding off of each other. So
Mm-hmm.
bring your best to your plants, and your plants will bring it back to you. I promise.
I believe that, and it's like one thing I do try to like always bring positive thoughts up in the garden, all that stuff. It's never want to like project that negative energy onto your plants. So like I don't know, in a lot of sense too, like it's the plants that are like grown for profit and for like a greedy motive like end up being boof. It's just like they know it, so they don't produce for those people. Like it's just like you have to unlock that certain part of your plant, and only love can unlock that part.
Make your garden your happy place.
Absolutely.
I think pride has a lot to do with it too. And you see some people that just kind of genuinely half-ass everything they do in life, and it'll show up in their growth. Like I have a buddy who still can't get it right after years of coaching, and like I've held his hand, and he doesn't listen to the show, otherwise he'd probably be better. But yeah, he just can't get it right, man. It's been years and years and years, and look, he started out with like blurples, right, against my advice. Then he finally got himself some nice lights. I thought that that would like help him up his game, but it really kind of actually only made things worse. Um, yeah, just
I think it's all in his motive, man. Really, like there's something weird about that. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
because
he
I've seen
can't
it.
stick with the style. He always is fucking doing different shit, and he can't figure out. He just he picked up
Yeah,
this bottle. He's one of those guys. He just
yeah,
Hmm.
always adding
anything,
stuff instead of
whatever. Like he read online is the new hip shit. Like he'll try and. You know what? I'm gonna go back to soil, or yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try rock wool, or fuck. He's done it
mm,
all.
mm,
He's produced some decent flour along the way. Um, but most of it's just fucking boof, man. It comes out
mm.
just tasting like cardboard, and I know he's drying it right because I built the dry room for him, so it's not the dry. He's literally just growing boof like cardboard weed.
There's a
Man,
learning
you gotta
curve.
gotta help
To
your
every
buddy.
style, there's a learning
Dude,
curve.
I've done everything I
He's
can.
tried. He's tried.
Yeah,
He's hopeless. He's a lost cause. Let him smoke the booth. At least it's something he grew himself. You know, it's better than dispo weed at least.
maybe.
Sometimes maybe.
Nah, not based on that shit I got a couple weeks ago. That was pretty damn
Mm,
fucking good for $30 a fucking eighth.
yeah.
Yeah.
I even told I told him that too. Like the shit. I told him he should just give up.
If at first you don't succeed, give up
Well,
and
try,
find
try
someone to
again,
blame.
and then if you continue to not succeed, well, maybe then you might start thinking something else might be for you. But
Mm.
I continue to keep trying.
Yeah, but
All right.
I'm sure you
I
grow good weed. I haven't smoked any of your flower, but
So
yeah.
let's steer the ship back a little bit on course. Back to plants that are like almost ready to be harvested. Now I've heard a lot of crazy shit that people do sometimes. And maybe that all ties into just like mentality. Maybe it's just like if you think it'll work, then do it. Like if you believe it and it helps your mental state when you're in the garden, then do it.
I think there's
Plant
some truth to that.
Plants respond to that. Like, I've seen people do the weirdest shit. Like, oh, a week before harvest, I put an 8-inch butcher knife into the base of my stem. Works like a charm every time. I just push that knife right in there, like, and just it sticks out the other end. Just
Oh
impale
my
the
God,
base of my
stop.
plant.
Stop. Just stop. Ugh.
You've heard of this? Have you heard of this? Yeah,
Yes.
like
It's
what's
I
up?
brutal
I
and awful and
I tried this like 10 years ago. I saw no difference in the plant at all. It didn't hurt it or help it. I don't think it did
it
anything.
didn't hurt it. It didn't hurt it.
She didn't die. She kept growing.
It's
Did
it's
you
G3.
die
It's
though?
just
It's
like,
like there is a
No,
spectrum.
but
There's
maybe
more than
in
death.
that near death experience, they produced some compound that we can harvest and use to our benefit. It's the adrenochrome theory. Okay, it's like you got to scare the shit out of your
You think that's
plants
how you get
right
more
before death.
terpinolene? You
Could
scare
be.
the shit out of
Could
them.
be. We gotta
The
like
fear
torture the
terpene.
plants. They produce adrenochrome. That's like the real cannabinoid that we want to get. It's I don't fucking know.
no.
No, I don't want the fear terpene. I want the love terpene.
The Fear Terpene. That's a show title right there. I fucking love you. Love you, G3. You have such a way with those words. But no, guys, like maybe I'm just saying, in the realm of possibility, a man in a purple robe is just postulating that plants plants might do something you and I have no clue about if we only torture them right before death. Like they release some minor cannabinoid, some terpene, something extra, some special sauce. You know
Nope,
what I mean?
not gonna do it.
You don't want
No
to fuck around with
way.
the fear
No
terpene.
how. No.
Fucking pussy.
Ugh.
Oh.
With some of that fear.
Yeah, I posted about it, plant adrenochrome, a long time ago on my page. It's like that's the reason why I turn the lights off in my tent. I was joking about it back then, but there's a lot of truth in these practices. Now, maybe not so much like putting an 8-inch butcher knife in the base of your stem, but I think if we play with the variables that we're already manipulating, namely temperature, light levels, humidity, perhaps, and a minor effect, like all of these things we're already playing with. Like, let's play with them more at the end of our plants' lives. Let's fuck around and find out, and maybe they will do something special.
I always drop my temps in flour last week to 10 days.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Always.
it's just you're getting them ready for that cure, man. You're locking in those, like, we don't want anything to volatilize
I'm
off.
I'm glad you used that word because terpenes are very volatile and they will start to degrade at higher temperatures. You definitely, look, we're when we look at our plants and we say, "Oh, we're going to push these another 7 to 10 days," right? We're trying to get the most out of them to get those trichromes to perfection, and you will start to degrade some of them that shit at higher temps. So drop your temps, however you want to achieve that. Drop your temps.
Yep, for sure. I think this time of year, my all my temps are kind of dependent on the light levels, and that's why just simply turning them down, real easy way to do that. Yeah, it mimics the fall, like we were saying too. But I at the very end, I always give them at least 24 hours of darkness. It's an
Same.
old practice, an old, and I don't think 24 hours is even necessary. I think you could get away with 12, 6 hours perhaps of darkness. Let's say you're growing autos, 24 hours of light.
You definitely don't want to be harvesting during the light period, though. You want to be harvesting in the dark.
Exactly.
And I don't mean shut your lights off after a cycle and harvest. I mean like before the lights come on, harvest them bitches.
Kill them
Yeah.
in their sleep.
At least a few hours in too.
And it
Make
and
sure
it's
they're
gonna
Mm-hmm.
deep.
it's gonna stink
Yeah,
if you
make
haven't
sure
done it.
they're in a deep sleep.
Yeah.
not,
Hmm.
not like right after they fall asleep. Like wait till they're least expecting it.
Hit that
I
rest
use the
cycle.
sawzall. They just come right down like 2 seconds. Buzz, buzz,
You got an
buzz.
electric tool to do it. That's
Yeah,
funny.
just use the sawzall, man. It's so
Hell
easy.
yeah.
Two fucking presses of a button and they're down. You get the nice coarse blade meant for wood, because that at that point that's basically what they are. And you
Yeah.
just and I've used the oscillating tool before, multi tool. You ever seen those with the fucking blade? Just like you can
Yep.
cut out drywall and shit with them. Yeah,
Hmm.
I've used the Cindy Loppers.
Yeah, those are my
That
favorite.
yeah,
Yep.
Oversized
fucking
hedge trimmers.
yeah.
The best. So, you know, at like we've talked about a couple things with our plants. What are you like? I'm this time of the grow. My mind is swirling about my next grow.
Yeah, really. You should be prepping. Your next grow should theoretically be starting just before or right after your current grow comes down.
Hmm.
You can certainly, let's say you're an auto guy. You have one tent. It's a pretty full canopy. You don't need that much light to pop seeds.
No, they don't want that much
Yeah.
light. In fact, it's better for them to be slightly under the canopy. A little cooler down there,
Mm-hmm.
a little less light, not quite as intense.
Look,
Let them grow up kind of in the nursery.
you could build a little tiny fucking seat starting area out of a cardboard box and an LED garage light. I'm telling you, it isn't that complicated. People say they don't have the space for this shit. It's really easy to fucking pop seeds. They don't need a lot of light for the first like week, you know. If you can
Not at
just,
all.
you
Right.
know,
Even autopots have to be hand watered. Most SIP systems, you have to hand water them for the first couple of weeks anyway. So you can really take your plants down, flip your tent, and then get your next round in and turn the autopots right on if you have them already started for the
If
first
they're
couple of
already
weeks.
established, yeah, yeah. Well, I always do like even if I'm doing a transplant G3, I always give them like a couple days after I don't like turn the system on right away ever after any kind
We'll
of
let them
transplant.
acclimate to the environment
A
a
few
little bit.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. And then turn it on. But, otherwise you're losing multiple weeks for no reason.
Yeah, no, there's no reason not to get a head start on your next grow. If even if you're not like thinking you're a perpetual grower, like that wasn't your intent of like why are you wasting time? I don't know. It's like there's got to be a little spot of light reaching the bottom of your tent, like little.
yeah,
Put them in a solo cup. Start them out in a like dual stacked solo cup. Do that method for first week and a half. It buys you a little time. You get your old plants out of the tent, reset, clean. It gives you all that time.
100%,
While,
100%.
not to mention the time it takes for your seeds to pop. Sometimes that takes longer than we'd like, doesn't it?
With a little bit of planning, you could easily get an extra harvest per year if you do it right, if not more.
Dude, absolutely.
And then like something I wanted to talk about real quick too is like you have certain strains like I forget who was talking about it, forgive me, but they were talking about they had some shit that was flowering in 45 days. Like there was one strain from 2020 called what was it Bisquick or something, some shit.
Quick
45
Bite.
days.
Bisquick.
I don't know, 45 days, dude. That's fucking wild.
That's
I got to see
crazy
this shit.
fast.
Finish in 45 days. That's
I bet you all that's coming, man. I heard something crazy today that like autoflowers have been testing consistently higher in both THC and terpene percentage than their photo period like parents. Like the autoflower version of the plant in a lot of cases will test higher and better. It was on Dude Grows just today, their
Oh,
most
I'm gonna
recent
go
podcast.
look for that.
I was like,
Good. I'd
I
love to
was
know what his
a little
sources are for
skeptical, but
that.
the man sounded like certainly convinced. He had the paperwork, but shit, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I
Maybe I
love
shouldn't
me
be
some
propagating
paperwork.
that yet. He as if he had the testing himself and was looking
was
at it.
it
You know what I
Scott from
mean?
Herb's Here Now?
No, it was not. It was not.
Oh,
Maybe it was Colin from Ethos was on, but I don't think it was him that was talking. Anyway, guys, my next grow, right? I always reset, do a full reset. I'm not one of these guys that does a no-till method. I don't think that's even doable in auto pots. Now that
no
I'm
till?
thinking about it. Yeah, like a
Mm,
note, you know what that is where you
no,
like
no, no till only
Yeah,
works in big beds, really.
you've
I
seen
think.
people. I've seen people do it with
I
earth
think you need some
boxes.
volume to do
So, like,
that.
if you could do it in an earth box, you could probably pull it off with autopod setup, like
hold
aqua
on.
valve, something or other. But I
Or
don't
one of
think
the
it's
big
ideal
ones, but not like
because
some
you
5
eventually
gallon
have to
something.
like. You're not supposed to dig up the soil at all. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like the
Yeah,
mycelium network
like a
that's already
big.
established. Like you want to utilize that to your advantage, and
I don't know.
like
I think it's a
you
little
can just
fucking
re-amend
ridiculous.
from the top. And like there's listen, that's like the build a soil way, right? Is what like they do like this no-till gardening, and it works great in like a big bed of soil, like a 3x3 bed, 4x4 bed.
I think it's really hard to
I
do for
Works
the
great.
average home grower.
Oh, like you know how heavy a fucking 3x3 bed of soil is.
Yeah, because you can't
You might
really
have
do it
to,
in pot. Like you're saying, you're not going to be able to do it in pots.
yeah.
I think Mr.
And
Johnny Apple does no till.
yeah,
So what? So I heard it today, and I actually have it up here because I was watching it right before the show. I'm gonna bring it up because I thought I heard an interesting question, and everyone loves little build a soil video, right? He's the man. Let me get rid of this real quick. Present. We'll bring him up, and
Truth.
can we
Do you
hear him?
expect
Can you hear him?
yep.
to be able to reuse the Autopot XXL fabric pot for multiple runs? Or would re-amending between runs also involve a new fabric pot? Thanks for your dedication to this channel and making the living soil way convenient. You're welcome. And truth, I would say I would totally reuse the Autopot XXL multiple times if I wanted to. I would treat this as a build-a-soil classic method. That size is good enough to no-till, in my opinion. And so when you do the top dressing, the Build-A-Soil Lite and 3.0, they're gonna wick all the way to the top, no problem. And because of that, they'll keep your top dressing moist. You can build a little bit of mulch layer on there. When you harvest your plant, all you have to do is cut out with a knife or wiggle loose if it's been sitting a while, that main stalk. And you don't really have to pull it out. It's just that that's where your next plant needs to go. And so don't worry about it. Dig out a little bit, put your next plant in there, and I would just rock it. And eventually it's gonna work really well because it'll get clean water from down below, just like in the
See, I disagree entirely.
I don't think you have a big enough scavenger system working it with that size.
I don't
I
think
think it
he.
needs to be bigger.
Have you seen what the root ball of an autopot plant looks like?
Yes, it's
There's like literally,
surprising.
there's like no soil. It's all roots. You know what I mean? Like, how is another plant supposed to grow through that like solid mass of roots?
Right.
that exists in an autopot.
And you don't have enough microbes and mycelium really to break it down efficiently in enough time for another plant to grow.
I don't know
It's not possible in
if
that
you're
size.
doing no till, aren't you gonna have some worms and shit in there too? I don't know. I bet you
Yeah,
could pull. I bet you could
I
pull it
don't
off.
know.
I guess if you and maybe if you have
To break
worms and you
down
use
roots
some
like
like
that in that
But then,
size?
bokashi, but like no, I think he's underestimating what an autopot, specifically an autopot root ball, will look like. It is not the same as like what a root mass will look like in a big 3x3 bed of soil.
so
I
is he
mean,
going to be doing it, or is he just
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it?
That well, he has his plants in autopots right now, the XXLs, same ones as me. And the question was like, can you just literally pull the stem out
Yeah.
and plant a new seed
Does
in,
he have
or do you have to
the big
full
fabric
reset?
pots or the plastic pots? Because the big fabric ones are like 13-gallon or some shit like that. They're pretty
I
big.
believe he is doing the 13 gal, right?
Okay.
So that is a little bigger than mine, which are the 9 gallons. But I still don't know if that's a really good idea. I don't know. Like
So
again,
it's funny you mentioned
I
this.
just
Remember that
I do a full reset.
Odin Sons midget I told you about? It
Mm-hmm.
didn't. It was stunted in the 13-gallon cocoa fabric pot. I just planted a Tino strawberries in there, and that's actually doing quite well in the same pot. Now, granted, the plant obviously didn't get that big. It was a midget plant, basically. So, like, sorry if I'm offending anybody with the midget term,
It was a
but
short plant,
it was a little person plant, and
vertically challenged.
yeah,
Stunted.
it like I haven't seen any issues yet. So I mean, I don't know. I think it could be done. Maybe if you're like kind of like planning on the opposite side, but I definitely don't think it's ideal. It, like you said, man, you pull out the fucking autopot plants after, and that root mass is
It's
fucking
just a
giant.
big mass of solid roots. Like, and dude, like mine are. It doesn't matter. I put 2 layers of that copper like root thing at the bottom of my pots, and they're still growing out into the tray,
Yeah,
like trying to get that aqua valve.
yeah, they're
Like,
smart. Them roots are smart.
Little
like keep it
arms.
open. We we want.
Dude, it's so true.
They
They
know
come
what
right
they're
in those.
after.
Yeah.
Man, it's wild, but like no, I just don't. I don't think like no till would work in autopots. I just don't. I don't think he's. I don't think he's accustomed to the autopot system. He's used
Well,
to a more of a living soil thing.
we'll find out, won't we?
He's gonna fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you know,
Interesting. You get to watch because he's pretty transparent. I think if it doesn't work out, you'll still see the results.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would think so.
for sure,
Now,
absolutely.
does he
I
have
love
worms
watching that
in
happen.
there?
I think yeah, dude, he does the full. Like he said, he treats those big autopot XXLs as like a living soil bed, and he does
Okay.
the full. You know, he literally does this. I mean, same thing that I do. Turns off the system, top feeds with like any kind of additional nutrients that he does. Doesn't run that through the lines, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same things we discuss on this show. Like, guys, watch a build a soil video. Watch
Fun
him put them into
experiment.
practice.
Really to see like at what size it's really possible. Is it possible to do it in 13 gallons? We know
Yeah,
it's possible
maybe
to do it in larger
maybe that
beds.
extra 4 is all you
Is
need.
is that possible? Doubtful but hopeful?
Yeah, well,
I don't know. We'll see. Best of luck to him.
right.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how things go for him. Really.
But yeah, I love Jeremy. Man, if he ever sees this somehow and wants to come on the show and talk about his results, I would love for that to happen. Shit. But while we're thinking about soil, that's also a thing that I'm kind of getting ready for my next round at this point in my current grow. I'm a reuse, recycle, waste not, want not sort of dude, and it's like I've said, I have root balls. Sometimes that'll sit Like literally just sit for months. And then I break them up, throw out the skeleton, break them all up, try to rehydrate, re-amend, and just bring that soil back to life. And that takes a little bit of time.
I have
Sure.
4 from where I'm sitting right now. I can see
Full plant skeletons with root ball.
4. Yeah. Yep. Skeletons.
Now, what do you do with your
It's because it's
root
cold
balls?
outside right now. Normally, I'll take everything outside and I'll break it all up and I'll add it to my garden.
Okay.
But it's cold right now. So
Yeah.
It's
they're
fun to
just
burn
going
them
to
too.
sit in the closet until, or I guess in the grow space, really, until it gets warmer.
So you're bringing your, the soil you've used in your garden then gets brought outside, used in your vegetables,
Yep.
outdoor plants, that kind of stuff. Cool. Cool. But so you're always buying new bags of soil?
I know it's not really a great or sustainable practice, but honestly, I just don't have the wherewithal right now to deal with
I feel you.
the whole reduce, reuse, recycle soil process.
I'll
At least
tell
you're
you
not
this
throwing
though,
it out.
G3, I'll tell you this, like if you are saving like root balls like that, you're one step away from just putting that stuff right back into practice and getting like sometimes even better results the next time.
Yeah. I tried it once and I had not great results. And I'm not sure where I went wrong, and I just like it's
Soil
not in
can
me
be
right now to find out. So, like,
tricky thing.
yes, I'll probably do something like that in the future. Maybe the next grow. Maybe I'll keep these that are the mangoes that are coming down. Who knows? We'll see. Always learning.
It's never a bad idea to get like even I will go out and get a fresh bag of Happy Frog or Costa Maine. Like you gotta add back to even your reuse stuff sometimes.
If you're using it in the veggie garden, it's not the end of the world either.
Yep. I happen to get my soil from like this super cute garden center that's owned by a little family, and I have known all of them for a couple of years. So like
Nice.
I know that money is going to cause if they're going to save me some time and effort and I can help out their family. Okay.
No,
Awesome.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I just got an email from them today.
You sure they don't have
They're
like a
opening back
daughter?
up. Hell yeah.
They don't have
Yeah.
like a daughter or son that's pillaging money for drugs. You could
that I
be
know
supplying the
Well.
drug habit.
I think he's pillaging me.
I should however bring some podcast flyers down there,
Oh yeah.
perhaps.
Perhaps.
But one of the benefits of always like adding in a little bit of fresh soil, even to like my reused batch, one thing I always keep a very close eye on is soil texture. I think that has a lot to, I mean, that's a very important thing that people don't discuss nearly enough. Like, I like a fluffy, very light to the touch kind of mix, like
Yeah, I would
even
imagine after reusing it so many times, it just kind of gets dense, right?
it can get dense and like a little compacted. I mean, if you want to make sure it's broken up, but while you're doing that too, like if it feels dusty or like just like dirt, it's kind of like broken. It's broken down, like kind of to the point where the fibers aren't like big enough anymore. I don't know. It breaks down. It can.
There's a difference between dirt and soil, and if you're a grower, you know exactly what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, and we're talking about like potting mix too, like and that's the fluffiest of the fluff.
Yes.
I mean,
As long as you like, and if you have soil like that, make sure you manually go through it. Put on some gloves, go through it manually. Take out any like big pieces of bark or sticks. Break up big clumps. Like it just takes a couple of minutes to work through your soil.
yeah, I don't like the sticks or the bark or any of that. Like I always I don't sift it or anything, but I like run
No,
my
just
hands
work
through
through
it.
it a little bit. Make sure it's easy. Imagine your tiny little seedling with that little,
Yeah.
little root trying to grow around a stick.
Even
Do
sometimes you can
yourself
Yeah.
a
get
favor.
some lumber and cocoa that you don't like.
Absolutely, yeah. Put some cocoa at the top of your medium. Like when you like one of the benefits of resetting your pots every time is we get to control the fluff level of our medium going back into the soil, right? We can like take out all those obstructions, root balls, get them out of there. We can build a soil from the base that's like dense at the bottom, fluffy at the top. That kind of coincides with the like hot to not hot theory. The denser the soil, the more compost you're probably going to have in it. So put that stuff at the bottom, and then as you work up to the top of the pot, add more and more, whether it's perlite or just cocoa. You get a brick of
Cocoa.
cocoa, add something back in there that'll, you know, just fluff it
Fluff.
up.
Like a little
Little
nursery.
fluff.
You want it to be soft. Child-proof your pot.
Exactly. Exactly.
Make
You
sure there are
know,
no sharp edges. Make sure things are nice and soft.
I like to lay broken glass around everywhere.
absolutely. Child-proof your pots, people. Like, I think there is something to be said for it. Like, if it takes a seedling's taproot half a day for it to figure out, like, oh, there's a big stick here, and I need to divert the way that I'm growing to move around this thing. Guess what? You've lost half a day of growth in the most crucial part of your plant's life. Congratulations.
Wah
Yep.
wah.
Might as well call it now.
You have failed and just kill your plant.
Reminds me of
now.
that video you did with Nerd Grows,
Yeah, right.
where you're like, "Oh, how
Oh,
old is it
it's
again?"
stunted.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
You're
That just
fucked. Well, there's an element of truth in there, like the fine line between like my plant is stunted or it's growing right on track where it should be. I'm just saying, it's not probably not a noticeable difference or slowdown, but your
could be.
plant
Just,
probably
it's
perceived it.
so easy to do your due diligence to give them the easiest,
Give
best
it
chance
fluff.
possible.
Like you put
Takes
like
like no
baby
time at all.
shampoo on a toddler, right? It's like baby soil.
Yeah,
You have to
don't
have
use
baby
baby
soil.
shampoo on your plants.
Baby shampoo. You want your nutrients nice and light, You
No
don't
more
want to feed them
tears,
anything
soil.
too hot. Right. No more tears, nutrients, really.
It's
Fucking
never
God.
cry over stunted plants again. No more tears. I think that is the key though, is for it to be fluffy and like not dense with a lot of compost and like over neutralized, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think
Keep it light.
people stunt their autos all the time, especially in the beginning.
They
We see it
do.
all the time, man. Like these little tiny midget plants, they're like, dude, my MacBook's taller than that thing. Like, what the fuck? What'd you do?
We'll do another how not to stunt your autos special coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I think people like getting cucked at this point. They tune in just to see that shit.
It's like a coach, like a coach yelling at you after a play. You just know he's trying to bring the best out of you.
Yeah, man. We just,
It's
want to see you not stunt your
we just
autos.
want to see you do better. We know you can.
Yeah.
We know it's in you. How do I reach these kids? You ever see that South Park?
No, no.
Oh, I have to write that down. I'll put that in the front of the show. I'll send it to you after we're done here, Monster.
Okay. After we're done here. Good day.
Which we do have to wrap it up, though. Unfortunately, it's like, look at that. An hour and a half has gone by, my
Yeah, we've
friends.
been-
Yeah, and I do have to
It's crazy.
piss like a racehorse anyway. Not gonna lie.
Before we leave, Just a reminder, we just entered Mercury retrograde. So, for the next 3 weeks, please be careful with your surroundings and your
Fuck you,
glass
Mercury.
and your communication, and just make sure everything is
Fuck.
settled. Try not
Maybe
to make any
we
deals if you can't for the next 3 weeks.
Oh,
April
hey,
25th, I think we're
maybe
clear.
we should wait to start any seeds until
that's a
Mercury is out
negative
of
Ghost Rider.
retrograde.
Nah,
I
nah,
was I
nah.
was just talking about this with somebody the other
All
day,
right.
like starting seeds on full moon, and it's like, listen, I'm sure that there may be some benefit to that, but I've started seeds without the full moon and with the full moon. I have seen no difference. So, hey, real quick before we go,
Truth.
can you pull up a random number generator 1 through 100, and let's draw a winner for the Smoke is Common Infinity for the Patreons?
Random number generator 1 to 100. All right, I will bring it up. So we don't
And
have
then
any accusations of malfeasance.
we don't have to figure out the winner. We'll figure out later. We'll just have the number, and we'll announce it on the
Uh,
Discord later.
oh,
They'll
you don't
probably
want me
figure
to
it
like
out.
present it right here, right now,
No,
on
no,
this very
present the
spot?
the number, but like I'm not gonna go through the Patreon and figure out who picked what number. That'll take too
All
long.
right, look, we'll just generate. Boom, 41.
All right, closest to 41 without going over, you just won yourself a Smokus Comet Infinity. Here it is right
Hell
here.
yeah!
Woo!
Congrats.
I had
That's
two of these
cool.
courtesy of Mass Hydro, so make sure you shout out Mass
Thank you,
Hydro
Mass
when you get it.
Hydro.
That's very
Mass
cool.
Hydro
Yeah.
provided these free of charge.
Very, very cool. Thank you, Mass Hydro. While we're thanking people real quick, we do have a couple new Patreons.
Yay.
We also have like a Patreon giveaway. It's a
Oh my
really
gosh.
good
We
time to become a
fucking right
Patreon.
do we have a Patreon giveaway. Holy cow.
You can
Thanks
still
to
get in on
Daz.
this. Only Patreons will be entered to win.
I got it pulled up right here, Cap.
All right, cool. Maybe you could shout them out.
Yeah, shout out to Anonymity Ape. Pretty fucking weird name. I can dig it though. Shout out to Crumbs. Shout out to Chucky Puppy 420. Let's just hope you're not chucking puppies, buddy. I love you. Shout out to Opie. Shout out to Opie, and
Thank you.
last but not certainly not least, Shala. Shout out
Thank you,
to
thank you, thank
Shala.
you. All our
Thank
love
you
for our
guys, all of you.
Patreon.
And I think we have one more. I'm seeing an X Beans.
Yeah, probably. As I've mentioned before, I'm using the Patreon app, and it's complete
I know
garbage.
it is, dude. I can't. It's so hard to tell who's supporter and who's not. But
Thank you to all of
thank
our
you
Patreons.
guys. Yeah, and check out. We do have a Discord where you can find all of us hanging out, talking plants, pretty much all day.
If you can't find the Discord, go to the website. It'll bring you right there.
And when
Yep.
the intrusive thoughts come in at 3 a.m., I'm also there,
Yeah, don't
spilling my
smoke the bourbon
guts.
tonight.
Yep, we have a huge Patreon giveaway. Thanks to Daz from Night Owl, who sent
Yeah,
us a
thank you,
huge
Daz.
bunch of stuff. So check out our Instagrams for information on that, on how to enter.
Absolutely, yeah. Way too much stuff. I had to break it up into like a lot of different. You have a really good chance to win. Like odds will be
So much
way
stuff.
higher than most contests just based on statistics. You know, so
Between calendars and Funko Pops and seeds and ashtrays and oh my gosh, so much stuff.
that's all you got to do is support your favorite podcast to get in and entered. That's it. That's it. Oh, and
And one lucky winner is going to get feet pics from me.
that's the real prize. Are you
You
kidding
know.
me? My lord. But yeah, thank you guys. Both of you, of course. Everyone
A
in the
pleasure as
chat who
always.
joined live. We love y'all.
I look forward to the
Thank you
show
to
every week,
everyone.
man. Thank you.
Oh, it is a great time. It's one of the highlights of my weeks too. I don't know if that says a lot about you guys or not so much about the rest of my life, but
Look, I'm a 42-year-old married
Both.
man with a child, and I work a lot, so I don't really do a whole lot these days. I look forward to doing the show, though.
well, yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. And everyone who watches, we we love having you here too. So you're all part of it, all part of the fam. We love you all.
Oh,
And until next time,
oh, hey, there's a lot of people that are watching this after it's aired, after we've gone live. You want to catch the show live,
yeah,
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on
on
YouTube or
YouTube,
Twitch.
easy as
Tuesdays.
can be now.
Tuesdays.
That's right. You can troll us in the chat all throughout the show. We don't
Mm-hmm.
care.
Nope.
Trolls, people with constructive feedback, like ideas, or just flat out trolls. Come on, hang out with us. We love y'all. Not too many trolls, but
Famous
shit.
reference.
Till next time, guys, keep your grows clean. Clean your fucking fans for the love of God. And whatever you do, don't get caught.
Set them fans right after.